Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the F4U Foldup, the Token Corsairs podcast. I am John, and today we are going to be going over the first 3 games of Season 10 so far for this team. We are currently sitting at 1-2, which is a little disappointing for where we want to be, but we've had a very tough schedule so far. We lost 2 hard games. And the entire West has been awful. I beat the Sharks in week 3, which was the first win for a West team this season. We all started 0-2. So the division's still probably ours. It's the West has fallen. The West has fallen so far. It's not even funny. But anyway, our first game, we played the Sabres at home, and we debuted our new alternate blue alternate uniform, which I think is pretty neat. But as you can see, we lost 28-22. Tough loss. There was a lot of injuries in this game. We'll get to that. But EJ balled out as per usual. Reed Derby had a good game. The rookie tight end Keith Weddle actually went for 100 yards in his debut, which was very, very surprising. But we all know that EJ Duffy can elevate tight ends to levels they shouldn't be able to reach. Clay Schlesinger's 2 All-Pros come to mind. Defensively, Lance Teakin, that calm, the Sabres' ridiculous linebacker core is still ridiculous. Lance Teakin is the greatest linebacker of all time and is playing like it still. Morris Fallis-Cantrell is popping off. Alec Dredd, man, all 3 of those guys, man, that's just not fair. They went crazy, and Grazier Pershing can only do so much. Grady Burke and Grazier, the MVP duo, both had good games. Grazier Pershing, 173 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty ridiculous. Pretty much what we expected, considering he just won MVP. Grady Burke, another good game, 300 yards. Only 2 touchdowns, though, was kind of the downfall there. Sabres defense just held us. Rondale Sowell with a very rough start to the season. 28 yards and a fumble, but, I mean, he doesn't need to do a lot. He just needs to have a couple good games this season to really be productive. Cavante Henry is still the guy. He's still our wide receiver 1, 100 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely wonderful. But below him is the real problem right now. Carnell Nash, our wide receiver 2, 47 yards and 2 fumbles. That is brutal. Nash has had a fumble problem, and he's definitely in his last season. So we're going to have to be looking for Corsair wide receiver depth going forward. Tolton Williams, 32 yards and a fumble. He also scored, though. I think he has 2 touchdowns on the season already, which is nice. Perry with a fumble. Every receiver besides Henry fumbled at least once. Pretty abysmal. Harvard, 29 yards. Didn't do anything. So I think my next episode after this is just going to be a receiver search across the league, practice squads, and kind of talking about what guys I might poach or be interested in as adding depth pieces to this team, maybe later this season or for next season. But we'll get to that. Our defense, though, Dane Brisker, the guy, 16 tackles and a pick. How about that? Rookie KJ Bellamy in his debut, balling out. Reggie Shawnell playing well. But below that, we had a lot of nothing going on. Joaquin Garcia, 1 tackle, following his All-Pro season. Chuck Hyatt had his worst game as a kicker for the Corsairs. 1 for 3 on extra points, 1 for 2 on field goals. We might bench Chuck Hyatt. He's been a very good kicker for us for a long time, but we might try out. There's a lot of kickers in free agency. Nobody ever switches their kicker out, even if they have abysmal kickers. The number 1 kicker prospect in this last draft, Ned Hova, who was drafted high to the Paladins, they released him after training camp and signed the undrafted free agent Carlos Carrot. So there's a lot of kickers to choose from to try out, and I'm gonna just give some of them a shot because nobody is even bothering looking at upgrading their kicker, which kind of bothers me. But this game was a little bit of a body bag game. 3 injuries, two minor ones for the Sabres. Vernon Parrish was out for a game or 2 games. Russell Suarez was out for a few, but the big one was LeVar Raymond having a severe injury and being out for the season. He was a sensational rookie, replacing Kevin Gable and filling right in his shoes with like 8 sacks. He was so good and one of my new favorite players. And now we're robbed of his sophomore season, and hopefully this injury doesn't set him back going forward in his career. It would be really sad to have a one and done guy there, but him being out really kills us going forward on the defensive side, the D line specifically. And guys need to step up to fill that void, but it's definitely a blow. We went from like being a pretty good team and possibly winning a playoff game to now I think we're first round exits. That's how important I think LeVar Raymond is to this team. But anyway, 0-1, we go into week 2, and we're playing another tough opponent, the Hoplites, in the opener game. And another close, tough loss, 34-27. Matthew Maines, who I think is incredible and is a legitimate MVP candidate, at least All-Pro, 360 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Like, come on, man. Just destroying my defense. Dashin Farrakhan's an All-Pro, 98 yards and a touchdown. That receiving core is really good. Zyron Williams, Gazelle Falk, Quay Sutton, and the 2, pretty stud tight ends. We knew it was going to be a good game, but we couldn't pull it out. Defensively for the Hoplites, they had nothing really of note except for one man who just game wrecked the Corsairs. Fred Manderson, 7 tackles and 4 sacks with his first Defensive Player of the Week award. Fred Manderson is insane. Defensive Rookie of the Year last season. I think he's going to get sack leader this season. He's like the closest thing we've seen to Tucker Borston since Tucker Borston, who's still playing somehow at 35, and putting up sacks. He's like 3 already. But Fred Manderson single-handedly ruined Grady Burke this game. 243, 1 touchdown, sacked 4 times. Now, Burke is already one of the highest sacked quarterbacks of all time. He has the record for most times sacked in a single season. I think the only people ahead of him for times sacked is like Jack Malley, maybe. And that's, Malley played 2 more seasons. So that is one of Grady Burke's downfalls, but it's kind of because he likes to step up and hold it and make that throw. And it doesn't work out sometimes, but, we all have, nobody's perfect, except Grazier Pershing. Grazier Pershing's perfect. 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. How about that? Rondell Sowell, 69 and a touchdown. Martin Harver with a big, his first big game, 78 yards and a touchdown. Love to see it, but nothing else exciting from that receiving core. Defensively, KJ Bellamy and Reggie Shawnell are still balling out. 2 linebackers that I could not believe fell to me. And then look at those rookie DBs. Both of them looked awful in camp. Donnie Malloy, 7 tackles, but then DeQuell Patton, abysmal camp, 3 tackles and a pick. He is already exceeding expectations. How about that? Love to see it. And then Kendrick Forson got a sack. Very nice. Sedarius Manley stepping in for LeVar Raymond, our Super Bowl 5 hero, franchise legend. Sadly didn't do anything this game, but what can you do? Chuck Hyatt with another miss. I'm probably benching him for week 4. But yeah, another 1-score tough loss to a great team. We need to capitalize on week 3 against the Sharks, who are struggling and our only competition for the division, really. Not even, I don't think, but we got the job done, 34-20. Sharks, we debuted our gray pants this week, which was nice. I really liked the gray pants. 34-20. Conan McCullough did a little. The running backs did nothing. Nothing really of note for the Sharks. They just kind of had a bum game all around. Gerald Sim missed a kick. No perfect season. I think, who's left perfect on the season with kicking? I think it's Petey Winslow. Is that it? I'm not sure. Might be Dylan Pendon. Grady Burke, another 273 game, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. It's a very Grady Burke late career stat line. Granger Pershing, another sub 100 game, but him and Sowell combined for a very strong rushing attack, both putting up a touchdown. Great games. Devontae Henry balling out again, 98. Tolton Williams with a good game, 48 yards and a touchdown. Carnell Nash, 54 and a touchdown. I'm pretty happy with that. Tolton Williams is kind of like playing himself into sticking around, which is kind of nice. Didn't expect that, but I also don't think that's a realistic option if I actually want a good receiver core going forward. Defensively, DeQuell Patton got a pick last week. Donnie Malloy gets one this week. They're both outperforming already. Very nice to see. Sedarius Manley, 6 tackles. Other than that, though, nothing to note on the defense. It was a very meh game all around. Very meh. And Chuck Hyatt misses another kick. This guy. There was an injury, though. Sharks wide receiver Khalif DeForte Jr. is out for the season. It's been a very, very dangerous season, Season 10. Season X. A lot of not career, season-ending injuries. One career-ending injury so far. But that's our 3 games so far. And how I feel about this team right now. So I think I'm not worried. We had our 2 losses were tough games. And if you look at, they're like probably the 2 hardest games on the schedule. And if you look at the layout right now, we're the only West team with a win, which is insane. The Sharks are 0-3. The Paladins are 0-3. The Paladins might go 0-8. They're just, man, the Paladins have fallen. Us beating the Sharks is huge because if they have that win instead over us, and somehow they scrape together some wins, that'd be the only worry. But because we beat them and I like the rest of our schedule, I think we're set. Who do the Admirals play? They play the Cobras, so the Admirals could win a game this week. But if we look at the rest of our schedule, we play the Leopards next week. We can beat them. I think we can beat them pretty easy. We play the Tyrants week 5. Okay, we'll lose that game most likely. So that would put us at 2-4 or 2-3. Week 6, we play the Admirals. I expect us to beat that. 3-3. Then week 7, we play the Sentries. I would expect us to win 4-3. And then week 8, we play the Paladins, which if we don't absolutely dog walk the Paladins and like spread them open and send them back to, I don't even know. If we don't violate the Paladins, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. But if they're 0-7 at that point, honestly, I wouldn't mind if they upset me, actually. Because I don't like 0-8 teams. I don't want to see 0-8 teams. I don't want to see 8-0 teams either. I think those should be as rare as possible. I wouldn't mind if they upset me in week 8 and I had the division at 4-4. Because the Sharks probably, let me look here. So they're 0-3. They play the Towers. They'll probably beat the Towers. 1-3. Conan McCullough revenge game. Play the Paladins. They should beat them 2-3. Then they play the Jackals. They're gonna lose that 2-4. Play the Rhinos. They'll probably beat the Rhinos because Draymond's out. But because that's such a weird rivalry game, that could go either way. And then who do they play week 8? Play the Admirals. Okay, so the Sharks could scrape together 4 wins. Like if they get 5, I'd be shocked. But they genuinely, because of how easy their schedule is, they could be a threat here. But us beating them was huge. We just gotta be locked in. Maybe we upset the Tyrants. Corsair, maybe the Tyrants go, undefeated at that point. The Corsairs do have a history of being the team that stops undefeated runs. They've done it to the Salamanders before. I wouldn't mind that. That could happen. Maybe we beat the undefeated team and then lose to the winless team, the Paladins, because that's happened before also. I think the Lancers did that a couple seasons ago, which is just bizarre. But crazy stuff happens in the division. I might start Clark Houghton if we're clinched the division. I might give Clark Houghton a start. in week 8, unless Grady Burke is contending for All-Pro. But yeah, that's the first 3 weeks so far. We're going to go on a receiver search next episode and maybe review the next game, depending on if it's done or not. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, go